You want to get to £5,000 per calendar month, which when you break it down equals 60k per annum. Now, believe it or not, in property, that is actually very easy to achieve. Hi, it's Arsh Ellahi, and today what we're going to be doing is concentrating on how you, as a new property investor, can get involved in property, but first of all, getting some of the basics correct from day one. So today, what we're going to be looking at is how you can get started and how to create your vision. And as a result, how that vision will turn into you creating your goals. And as a result, how those goals will be broken down into lots of mini goals. Now, why am I telling you this? Very simple. It's because when I started out in property back in, is the year 2000. So I've actually been involved in property now 19 years. Now, in that 19 years of my professional property career, I've actually accumulated, or when I say accumulated, is that the right word? Well, I've actually got now 1,100 tenants. Now, 1,100 tenants, that's a lot of tenants, which means that it provides me a lot of income, and I'm very grateful for that. But when I started out, this is one thing that I actually didn't do. And if I was to reverse back time, I think I could have been smarter with my time and I could work more efficiently if I'd created the vision from day one, the goals and the mini goals. Now, I'm going to break it down so that you can see how I've done this effectively now for my business and how I work with my mini goals to reach my goals, which ultimately will get me to where I want to be. Now, I'm going to write a date, which is the 11th of November 2025. Now, to you, this date will be completely irrelevant. But to me, this is the day that I actually retire. And it becomes the 11th of November 2025 at 23:59 p.m. And if I want to be extremely specific, 11:59 59 seconds p.m. on the 11th of November 2025. Now, that is my vision. That is my vision. I've set my vision. Now, the reason why that is so specific is because that is the day that I actually retire. Now, you could say that I'm actually, with 1,100 tenants and with so much income coming in already, I'm already financially free. So I can do what I want when I want. But I've catered that further so that I make sure that I know the day that I'm actually going to retire. Now, my vision, I've set that on the 11th of November at 11:59, I will retire. I've structured all my loans so that they become zero and that my actual portfolio is completely debt-free. So I think we're going to have, at that point, we would have accumulated circa between 30 to 40 million pounds worth of property. So as a result, on the 11th of November 2025 at 11:59 p.m, I will retire and the debt on my whole portfolio will become zero because it's all paid down on a capital repayment basis, which means that it will be completely debt free and I will now have a portfolio which is completely paid off in the realm of between 30 and 40 million pounds. What will I do with it then? You know, that's another question that I ask myself, whether I hand it over to my daughters, whether I hand it over to my family, whether I decide to sell it off, whether I decide to sail off into the wind. It's completely irrelevant. I'm working towards that point at that date and that time. Now, how can you do this too? And this is a key question because you've got to create your vision. What does it look like for you? Where do you want to be? At what time scale? Does it work in terms of how many properties you want to acquire? Does it work in terms of how much cash flow per calendar month you want to generate? Does it work into how many hours you want to work? Does it work into the lifestyle that you want to lead? These are questions that you've got to ask yourself. And today's video is all about that. Now, let's break it down for you. Now, let's just imagine that you're completely new to property. And let's just imagine the fact that you're saying that I want to get to £5,000 a month per calendar month cash flow. That's net. After all costs, after you paid off your landlords, after you paid off your mortgages, after you paid off your insurance and all your other expenses, you want to get to £5,000 per calendar month, which when you break it down equals 60k per annum. Now, believe it or not, in property, that is actually very easy to achieve. But in order for you to get there, the one thing that I want you to do is now break that. We've got a goal. And as a result, we now need to break it down further as to how we're going to achieve that goal. Is it that we're going to look at what strategy are we going to employ? So, are we going to buy HMOs? Are we going to buy property? How are we going to acquire the property? And that all comes down to you and your personal circumstances. Are you going to buy? Are you going to acquire? When we talk about acquisition, we're talking about, is it going to be rent to rent? Is it going to be lease options? Are you going to use buy-to-let mortgages? Have you got the 25% deposit? Are you going to look to recycle your cash? So these are questions, and this is one thing that I'm going to actually set you as your homework. So you may not have known me, you may not know anything about me, but by all means, do a little bit of research on Arsh Ellahi. More importantly, press the subscribe bell on this YouTube video, and over the next few years, and over the next few weeks even, you'll see the amount of videos that we're due to release. And this will be start of your free education. So, the strategy, how are you going to acquire them? How are you going to buy them? How are we going to get to that end goal? So you may decide that I'm going to acquire, over a period of time, I want to acquire 10 properties in the first year. 10 props, year one. Now that's fantastic. That again, we've set a goal. How do you acquire those 10 properties? So are we going to buy? Are we going to do rent to rent? Are we going to do lease options? Are we going to do serviced accommodation? Now, as a result of that, if we're going to buy, how much cash have we got? So cash, if we're going to buy, are we going to use JV partnerships? Are we going to use money from other people to acquire properties? Now, if you're looking to buy 10 properties, what does that look like in terms of a monetary value? So if each property is worth circa £100,000, at 10 properties, that means that you're going to acquire approximately £1 million in property. And that's a fantastic goal to have. Now that £1 million, if you're going to use buy-to-let mortgages, that means that you're going to need a 25% deposit, which now means that as a result, you need circa £250,000 just towards a deposit to act for the acquisition of those properties. Which then takes you down another realm. Can you see what we're doing here? We're breaking it down from goal, vision to goals to mini goals. This is what we're doing now. We're creating the mini goals so that we're creating ourselves actionable steps every step of the way so that we know where we need to go and what we need to do. So if we're buying, we now know that 10 properties will cost £1 million. As a result of that, using leverage of mortgages, where the average lending is circa 75%. The 25% deposit will act as circa 250,000. That means that we need to raise or find £250,000 to acquire those properties. Now, on a rent-to-rent basis, it could be that are we gonna go approach agents? Are we gonna approach landlords direct? Very straightforward. Rent-to-rent is a fantastic strategy. If you don't know much about rent-to-rent, please feel free to go through some of the other videos that we've created, and you'll see that I've got hundreds of hours worth of free education just on this YouTube channel alone. All you need to do to be kept up to date is press the subscribe bell. Now, as a result, if you're going to go to agents, we need to, if you want to be completely honest and upfront as to what you want to do, how are you going to approach them? Are you going to create a pack? Are you literally just going to go in and try and build rapport? The same with landlords. How are we going to approach landlords? Where are we going to find them? Are we going to find them on Gumtree? We're going to find them on Spare Room? There's so many different angles for you to find landlords. Are you going to go to landlords forums? Are you going to go and meet them directly at different meetings, networking meetings? So as a result, if we know that we want to acquire a number of rent-to-rent properties, that means that how many calls are we going to make? Now, I break this down into days, weeks, and eventually months. So if I was to say that I want to acquire 5 rent-to-rents within a short space of time, I will break that down. So in order for me to do that, I will want to probably make 10 calls a day, which is equivalent to, if you work on 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, 50 calls a week, which is equivalent to 200 calls a month. And as a result, we'll turn that into a KPI. Now, if you don't know what a KPI is, it's a key performance indicator. And as a result, this is what's going to keep us accountable. More importantly, we can keep this as our tracker so that we can see what we've done that month and how that has resulted in terms of a result. So we can have a look at how many calls we made, how many said yes, how many said maybe, and sometimes how many said no. Now we'll talk about how to overcome the fear of no in a later video. Now, with regards to the key performance indicator, you look at how many calls you made, and as a result, if you're getting more no's than yeses, we may need to tweak your system, which again now breaks it down as a further mini goal. So you can see what we're doing here, we're breaking it down. Now, we keep going on, so we've looked at buy to let or buying properties, we looked at rent to rent as acquisitions, we then start looking at lease options and SA. Now, the one thing I should mention here is that if you're completely new to property, this may be quite overwhelming because there's so many ways to get involved in property. And the one thing that I find with property investors, especially today, is that they want to do it all. They want to do it all. But can I say that with property, I've been involved in it in 19 years. This wealth is not acquired overnight. So you've got to work at it. And the one thing that I'm a big fan of saying is that property is a marathon. It's not a sprint. The guys that go out and sprint and jump out the hurdles from day one are the ones that burn out within the space of a month. You've got to think of this as a long term. You've got to think, and more important, you've got to think of what your reason why is. Now, your why may be your wife, your why may be your children, your why may be your long-term goal and your vision. And this is what you need to take into consideration. And that's why today's video simply is all about your vision, your goals, and your mini goals. Now, what I want you to do, here's your first actionable step. Get a piece of paper. Understand what your reason why is. Understand where you are now, and understand where you want to be within the space of a year, 3 years and 5 years. As a result of understanding where you are now and where you want to be, start creating your vision. What's your long-term vision? What's your medium-term vision? And what's your short-term vision? And it varies as straightforward as that. And now if we were to put this into concept, into something that we know of an everyday basis, if we drive a car, we never always knew how to drive a car. First we had to book the lessons, then we had to attend the lessons, then we had to learn the theory, then we had to learn the practical. As a result, we passed the test. And it very much is straightforward with property. We take it step by step, and slowly but surely we'll become more confident in our approach, and as a result, our actions will be producing results. Now, my actions on a day-to-day basis have got me to lead to where I am, so that on the 11th of November 2025 at 11:59 p.m, I will retire, where all my debt will become zero on my portfolio, and I've become completely debt-free of a portfolio that's going to be worth circa between 30 and 40 million pounds. Now, hopefully you found that short snippet of information of great use, and this is now going to get you to the start of your property journey. As always, feel free to comment below. If you like the video, if you dislike the video, feel free to give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. More importantly, if you'd like to know more about it, click the subscribe bell just on the right hand side, or if you'd like to visit my website, feel free to go to arshellahi.com and see more about what I do and how we can start to work together. On that note, guys, I wish you a fantastic day, a fantastic week, and I look forward to working with you. Thank you.